Fight!
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the MK Mobile Podcast. Okay, this episode is all about what I would change to the Klassic Tower to make it the most epic and nostalgic Mortal Kombat memory-inducing tower to ever grace the screens on our phones and tablets. Okay, before there was a Klassic Tower, I remember wanting one so bad, it was my belief that with Mortal Kombat's extensive history of games and just the lore wrapped up in those games, that MK Mobile needed a tower designated just to honoring and recreating that legacy. Needless to say, I was really excited to see that when that tower finally came out. It was around update 4.0 last year sometime. But I was actually a little underwhelmed as to how the tower represented the Mortal Kombat nostalgia as a whole. So now I'm just referring to the tower here. The development team actually just killed it with the equipment, in my opinion, for the tower. But I really think they could have made some huge improvements in the tower itself. And that is why I have come up with 8 ways to create the ultimate Mortal Kombat Classic Tower. Alright, first off, this is definitely not a dig on the development team. They are doing incredible work, the likes of which I could never understand how to do. No clue. Absolutely no clue how they do what they do. This is more just a GTD wish list that hopefully one day can be included in future towers or possibly future updates. Would love to see it. So before we get into the changes I would make to the tower, let's revisit the awesome nostalgia-inducing equipment that already exists. Like I mentioned earlier, they actually just absolutely killed it with the equipment artwork on this. For example, take a look at Dearest Memory. This uncommon piece shows a hand holding a Super Nintendo copy of Mortal Kombat with a CRTV in the background, and just kind of like books scattered around on the ground with an MK poster on the wall. Totally reminds me of my childhood. Now, granted, I didn't have a Super Nintendo, I had Genesis, but whatever. I had the CRTV, just like many of you probably listening. So yeah, it's awesome. And then that obviously changes to a hand-holding copy of an MK11 with a flat screen TV. So yeah, they kind of show the progression, like where it started and to where it is now. So they absolutely just killed it. Another awesome piece is the Restless Ninja's Call to Arms. Looks like having Scorpion's Spear replaced with what appears to be a Super Nintendo controller, only to turn into like a PlayStation controller. It's such a nod to us who have grown up playing the game. The only thing that's missing on any of these equipment cards, kind of mentioned it before, but there's nothing Genesis based. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems like it was mostly Nintendo memory based and not Sega. And I would have liked to see just a reference to that console as well. It's okay that they didn't, but because for those of you who grew up with a Genesis in the house, you know that Sega did what Nintendo don't. Do you remember that ad? It's huge. It's a huge advertisement for Sega back in the day. Alright, now let's move on to the 8 changes I would make to the Classic Tower to not only show the legacy of the game more respect, but also increase the interest of the game to new and old players alike. Alright, so number 1, change the entire look of the tower. When you open the tower tab in the game, you know what you're going to get, right? The same tower structure, but with different colors and banners. Why not make it look the same as the original Mortal Kombat Tower? The older, just grittier graphic look, and have it start at the top and lower down to what battle you are currently at. And I get it, everybody. I realize waiting for it to scroll down 200 floors would be a little bit ridiculous, but that doesn't mean it couldn't start scrolling down and then just blur to whatever match you are. Just give it the appearance of it cycling the same way as the OG towers did. All right, you could even just click it like Classic Tower, and then inside it would have the Fatal and then the normal tower to pick from. Even kind of more of a nod to how the towers looked back in the day, because you would have your different levels of towers you could pick from once you open those up, once you went into that fight. So, okay, here we go. Number 2, change the music for boss battles. So there are so many freaking awesome tunes for like fight tunes, stage music that they could pick from a long time ago. Now I get it, it's probably a lot of it wrapped up into licensing fees, but could you just imagine getting to like Fight 20 on the Fatal Tower and hearing this absolute banger come across your tablet? It would be so freaking cool, so freaking cool. Okay, so I would love to see like the older music incorporated into this game. Yeah, definitely licenses, but yeah, who knows? You never know. We do have the retrocade music, which if you are a YouTuber, you do know if you play that, it does get us copyright strike or it has a license to it. Anyways, going on. Number 3, add hidden fights and battles. So just as with like Reptile, Smoke, Jade, Noob Saibot, Cyber Smoke, Chameleon, etc., etc. Why can't there be hidden battles sprinkled in the tower climb that only activate after a certain number of actions have been completed? For example, maybe you execute 30 brutalities against the same character, or land like 60 nut punches or something like that against a certain character class, or win 2 matches without blocking, and when completed, it just like totally whisks you away to a fight, a new tower exclusive character. I think that'd be freaking awesome. And how exciting would it be for like just the community to stumble across that? You know what I mean? Like if I was a developer and I put that in there, I wouldn't put what the code was. I wouldn't put what you needed to activate it. I would let the community figure it out, just like Ed Boon and John Tobias did back in the day. You know what I mean? That would be awesome. Okay, and who's to say that that isn't already out there? I don't know. It could be. Who knows? All right, number 4, boss fight graphics. I would like to see, I mean, why can't certain boss fights have characters that are more pixelated and resemble the characters from the different eras of games? They would still have like the same stats, but it would just be like a retro version of themselves. If you're familiar with Injustice 2 Mobile, they kind of did this with some of their classic characters, like classic Batman, classic Superman, classic Wonder Woman. They just look really awesome. They just look like the old school comics. It would be cool if we could get that in for the boss fights for certain bosses in a classic tower. Okay, number 5, bring back Dan. All right, of course, I'm referring to Dan Forden and his iconic Easter egg Toasty. This could actually also be tied to like a certain moves or certain damage of special moves if executed a certain number of times, or when enough damage to one character is applied via like a special 1 or special 2 in a match. There's so many possibilities with this. There's so many like different things that they could add into this tower. Okay, so Dan, of course. Number 6, new classic character. So I get it, last year when the Classic Tower dropped, they did add classic movie Raiden, but what I'm talking about is a tower-specific boss from an older game. I think that would just be a great way to keep the tower fresh and gain attention from old players and new players. This character would just be tied to the Classic Tower and would not be available to fight against in any other tower. So just, could you imagine coming up against like a classic-looking Shao Kahn, or maybe even like a Deadly Alliance Quan Chi? That'd be freaking crazy. How freaking hyped would it be if you got to a boss fight and Mortal Kombat Deception looking Onaga or Blaze showed up? Come on, that'd be freaking awesome. All right, moving on to number 7. Old school stages for each boss battle. So new stages in general are just a must for the game, let alone for just a tower. Almost after 9 years playing against the same stages is getting dull. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is, and all of you that's been playing for a long time know it. Okay, new characters and moves are nice, but when it's set in front of these older stages, they just don't stand out as much as they should or could. So just imagine the excitement of getting to each boss battle and seeing the graphics of a new stage behind your team. I think what would make this even better and really tie this tower into the history and lore of Mortal Kombat is as you climb the tower, the stages change with the different games over the years. So for example, like battles 20, 40, and 60, they could have stages from MK1, MK2, and MK3. Fights 80, 100, and 120 could be like from MK4, Alliance, and Deception. And then like 140, 160, and 180 could be stages from Armageddon, MK versus DC Universe, and MK9. And then maybe like 200 could be a mix of MK11 or MK1. That would just be freaking awesome. Let me just like list a couple of the amazing stages that could be included in this, like Goro's Lair, the Soul Chamber, Jade's Desert with Cyrax in the background, Reptile's Lair, or the City Streets from MK3. I mean, come on. This would completely change the game. It really would. It really would. It would completely change just the overall appearance and feel and like attraction of the game. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Okay, finally, number 8, Fatalities. Now, these are already in the game, if you didn't know. If you look closely, there is a mode called Battle Mode, and if you blow the dust off that, you will find battles within that with Fatalities. Of course, I'm just kidding, but seriously, Battle Mode desperately needs an update. Anyways, what I'm thinking is certain equipment that can perform Fatalities for certain characters, and they can be purchased using currency that is tower specific. So I know we have a lot of different currencies already in the game, but I think if there is a specific tower currency that you accumulate over time just by playing a tower, that would be a great way to introduce Fatality equipment. The tower could have its own store, basically, okay? This is actually already happening in MK Onslaught, if you play that. There are different chronicles, they call them like events in that game, and you can gain a certain type of currency just for those events, and then you can go purchase equipment in the store with that. So these are just the 8 ways that I think they're really good. I think they're going to make the player experience better by just giving the game a fresh, exciting makeover. And yeah, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, or reach out to me on X and let me know what you think. Maybe the Classic Tower would make the Classic Tower better, or let me know what you think would make the game in general better when it comes to ideas like this. I would like to know, and then maybe I can read those through on the next podcast episode. So anyways, that's my 8 ideas. Let's go back to the game itself. So the game itself, like I said, the Classic Tower's out. I wonder if they fixed Fatal Battle 190. That was a huge source of stress for me and many of you last year. The bugs were crazy. I can't even remember who that was in that fight, but hopefully they fix that, because I like boycotted playing the Classic Tower last year because of that fight. It just would crash every single time. I think it was like the Black Dragon crew, if I'm not mistaken. So I hope they fix that. I'm pretty sure they did, but we'll soon find out. Let's see, MK Onslaught. If you guys are playing MK Onslaught, I'd like to know your thoughts on that. I am a free-to-play player on that game, and at first, progression was very hard, very hard. They did some updates, and they made it a little easier. You can upgrade your equipment easier now, but I think it's just a slow grind. Like, if you're not willing to pay, it is just going to be a slow grind, and that is where I'm at now. And so I'm finally getting a stronger roster, and it's making it a little more exciting because I can now, you know, progress a little bit further in each one of the modes that they have in that game. So that's been keeping me busy, as well as MK Mobile. But yeah, in general, that's kind of what I've been doing. Both of those games in general. So, all right, everybody, I think that's going to be it. We didn't do a test your might on this episode. I just realized that. So maybe we do a quick one like right now. Okay, we'll do a quick impromptu test your might. All right, and since this is kind of a quick impromptu one, it's going to be a Game Time Gaming based question, okay? It's going to be a multiple choice. Here we go. My current test your luck consecutive days played number is A, 1,343 days, B, 3,233 days, or C, 2,123 days consecutive played. All right, there's your guesses. Put your best guesses in, and the answer, everybody, is B, 3,233 consecutive days played. I just screenshotted the screen, and I think I got like 5,000 coins. So congrats to me. Anyways, okay, that wraps it up for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you on the next episode. All right, bye, everybody. Nails done. I love girls with their nails done. Girls with their